This is still the press, and we're reaching you live from the Abuja studios of KAFTAN TV. Right now we have a guest with us in the studio with whom we are going to be doing the analysis to some of the headlines we have read to you. Obadiah Mbila is here with us in the studio, and he is the founder of the Lovewalk Media. You're welcome to the program this morning.
Thank you very much, Francis.
It's great to have you again.
Thank you.
Very quickly now, because we have so much to discuss within a short period of time, and the very big one on the front page of every newspaper this morning remains the certificate controversy. And at the beginning, it was more like an APC thing. It was more like a President Tinubu's thing that everybody needed to get clarifications. But right now, we are now seeing a lot of we are seeing alleged discrepancies from the camp of from the PDP and also the Labour Party, because there has been allegations of name disparity of the presidential candidate too. And in view of that, President Tinubu has said that Atiku too at some point committed forgery too, in his words, and I'm placing my emphasis on the two. There doesn't mean that the president is now admitting that he committed an infraction at some point. And what exactly does this mean for us as a nation?
Well, thank you very much for trying to bring out the fact that the way presidency responded to this accusation somehow points to the fact that they are subtly admitting that yes, Tinubu committed forgery, but he's not alone. After all, Atiku also committed. That is the implication.
Peter also committed.
You see, that's the implication of that type of response. And anytime you are doing investigative work and you confront someone that is accused of whatever, confront him with the question, and instead of saying, I did or I did not, he said,
you too, you should be you too, you did it too.
You, when they ask me himself, you know. In other words,
so he wants
to divert the conversation. He wants to open up the conversation beyond the focus on him, but for us to focus on others who are similar, are also culprit of similar offenses. And for those of you that are in the field of journalism, it would not be wrong to conclude, if you are investigating and someone is reporting this way, responding this way, it will not be wrong for you to conclude that so far the way he responded points to the fact that the accusation might be true.
But then there's a BBC investigative report that that came out, and they on their own have said that there was no pointer to the fact that Tinubu conducted
I read about this BBC thing, and you see, we have grown above just using a label BBC, who actually were behind the report. By the time you dig in, you find out who they are, and you discover that they shouldn't have come with a different verdict than their presentation.
How do you mean when you find out who they are?
Have you investigated? Have you found the BBC reporters? Have you found who they are? When you dig, you discover that one or two of them was at the employment of a TVC news. And by that, the implication of that is that he, now in BBC, is still protective of where he is coming from.
Where he's coming from.
All right? To come out to say there is no
evidence to point that if they've committed forgery.
You know, is it not laughable? We have seen 2 different certificates. If the presidency had come out to say these 2 certificates, one of them is fake, the other one that is original belongs to our boss, it will be clear. But you allow this debate to continue to linger for how many years now? We can't have a definite answer to certain question concerning the man who swore the oath of office to protect the Federal Republic. We can't say he's a student or a graduate of Chicago State University or no. We can't say he is he sat for his secondary school leaving certificate in government college in Ibadan or Lagos. We can't. Now, why would you like this type of mystery to surround the president? Why can't you come out clean to say that BBC? That's a blanket statement. BBC. We have BBC reporters that said they have not seen any evidence. Now, you'll be asking, what type of evidence are they looking for? So, have you not seen 2 different certificates? Have you not seen discrepancies in a WAEC that was obtained in 1970 and the one that was obtained in 1974? Can't you see?
All right.
What type of evidence are you looking for? So I think it was a good job to defend the president, but that's not the best way to defend the presidency. I must say this. It was like when the debate of who is in Aso Rock was raging. Baba Obasanjo had to come out and say, please, Buhari, if this is original you, come out and let the people know that it is you, so that we can push this thing aside and live on with other challenges of nationhood. Here again, we are coming with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who every one of us must appreciate his intellectual capacity, his past record in political networking. So these are qualities that is going and is working for him.
All right. Let's quickly take this call before you go ahead. Hello, good morning. Hello. Good morning. Morning. All right, tell us your name and where you're calling us from. Okay, I think the person is not ready to talk. All right, I'm going to ask you 2 questions and I'd like you to take them together in one breath. Now, you have, on the one hand, you have this clap back. You have the president saying, the presidency coming out to saying, give that response with regards to, like you said, you too, you have yours, you have your own skeleton in your own cupboard. But then you recall that some time ago we had that issue with regards to NYSC when we called out the Minister of Art, that's Honorable Hannatu Musawa, and everyone was hoping and waiting to see the president ask her to step down and then if at least probably go finish it up and then come back and continue again, or what exactly they are going to do in that regard. But at some point we just moved on and then no one is talking about that controversy again. We've actually moved on, and then someone come out to say that, okay, so are you expecting the same person that has an issue with his own certificate to come out to tell another person to move away? So it now looks like we are all in this together. And then you recall what happened with Mesoma in Annabel State, where you had that certificate forgery again, and then people coming out the jam result forgery, and I hear Obadiah coming out to say, okay, so now that I think she should be apologized to, because if she does things like this and then we're all coming out with our knives and our guns and our daggers to put on that little girl, then you have someone in that home of affair doing same thing. So in your thoughts, I'd like you to put them together. And then Daily Times says Enugu gubernatorial election, CSOs demand investigation of public officers NYSC certificate. I'm sure they're actually pointing to somebody. Let's get your
well, Mesoma coming at a time when the president and commander-in-chief's own case is surfacing. Is it a coincidence, or is nature and the universe trying to speak to the power that be? Because President Bola Tinubu, with the moral burden of certificate forgery, cannot, in all honesty, be the one that will come to judge Mesoma or his likes. However, that is what my fear is. We are going to promote a culture of tolerating forgery, because the water either gets spoiled or cleaned from the top. Now, not even WAEC nor any other agency of government has the moral right to prosecute any forgery accused person when your president has not come clean on the matter.
But you might have them coming to say, actually, it's not in our school now.
Yeah, it's true that there are many escape routes that you escape. Does it mean that the history has forgotten you? No. They can only forget that. I remember you that you were accused of this and you found a way of escape. Not that you came out to tell the world that it never happened. So, Mesoma and others who have similar case are being shielded by the position of Mr. President and his handlers. A sad development.
Sad development. All right. So, like I said, I'm going to ask you two questions, and then because you taking a cue from where you landed with regards to we're building a culture of forgery. At this point, you should have the national orientation coming out to orient Nigerians, and I'm just wondering what exactly would they be telling people? But then at least, because we are trying to build a new culture, then you should have them saying things, because before, after all, they were the one that came out with that mantra, change begins with me. So they should come back again and probably get something again to tell Nigerians in this regard, especially telling them that we cannot build that culture, we cannot stay on that culture of forgery. That's one on the side. And then secondly, we saw that broadcast from that was held, that was done by the presidential candidate of Labour Party, that's Peter Obi, where he came out to say that the president should reintroduce himself. And then you have in his own party them coming out to say that you also have a skeleton in your cupboard. And then some people came out to say, why did he come out to make that statement? He has always been silent, kept mum. Silence is golden. That was his mantra. And then at some point, for him making that statement, it was as if he was just crashing to get anything just to indict,
just to get some kind of media attention.
Do you see it as that?
Some have interpreted it to mean that, but don't forget that he is leading a segment of people. He still have his loyalists who from time to time will try to influence his position. Supposing, like he did say when Atiku, after the press conference, called on him and Kwakwanso and other Nigerians to join him in this fight. He came out to say, we already have a case in the Supreme Court, and that's where I stand. Then coming back to address that press would mean that he was not standing on his former position. That is, I am in the court, let the court decide. So I don't know what influenced his late position, where he actually was asking Mr. President to come clean. But if we should not throw away the baby with the bathwater, we would set aside whatever his motivation was, and then look at the message he's passing through. the president's identity has been distorted for so long, and so also his certificate, almost everything about him, his state of origin and his parentage and so on and so forth. For me, I have looked at it in my own private corner, and then I tried to say kudos to a man who has all this type of background, type of controversy, and still scale through it over the years to come to the level where he found himself as the president and commander-in-chief of a federal republic, of a state, of a nation. For me, it is what doing a PhD study on this man. You know, I'm sincerely speaking, I've said this to some friends that are close to me. Now, that does not to say that our president is exonerated from all this just because he has intellectual capacity to lead a complex nation like ours. I've stated here before, when you read Clinton's book, My Life, you see what leadership should be. Leadership should be see me inside out. Not
see me outside.
Not see me outside. In the book, Clinton went as far as admitting that his elder brother Rogers was a drug addict. He went ahead to admit the fact that the mother married multiple husbands. He went ahead to admit that his own father was a drunk. Right. So why are we like this in this part of Africa? And I have told them that if David, whose sexual exploit was, you know, revealed everywhere in the Bible, if David is from Africa, I would have told them, please expunge all those details that would
and let's move.
Give a place.
Let me look good in the eyes of the public.
Yes.
But then,
all right. Before you just land, let's take the last one. We talked about national orientation. What should they be orienting Nigerians? Because we cannot live with that culture.
I consider it one of those agencies that unfortunately have failed itself, because orientation means you already have a way of life that you have in mind that we should change, and then you articulate programs that will help us take step by step approach to achieve it. It has only been the release of mantra, and it ends there. When Akonyele started the world, great nation, good people.
Good people.
Can you think of what that mantra would have done if we imbibed, learn, customize ourselves with the message? But he ended with Akonyele. They came again with change begins with me. Did Lai Mohammed, whose time it was that we produced it, how much change did we see in him?
Okay, quite a lot has been said. Before we put this very topic to bed now, the certificate forgery issue to bed now. Now, the news is all over the media, is all over the internet, and there's still a pending case that's heading to the Supreme Court. The question on the lips of every Nigerian right now is the possibility of the new evidence being admissible at the highest court in the land. And quite a number of legal luminaries have had various opinions. Some have said it can be admitted on exceptional grounds. Some have said that it can only be admitted if it had at one point been established at the tribunal level. What are your thoughts on the admissibility of this newfound evidence by the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party? And do you see it tilting the outcome of the judgment at the Supreme Court?
Well, it's I'm not a legal expert, and from my layman's corner, I do know that the Supreme Court is not a court where you begin to tender evidence. They look at what you have, what was presented to the appeal court, and then go on from there. But if there is any ground to admit new evidence, that again, I think it's depends on the discretion of the presiding judges. If they say yes, even though this is a Supreme Court, we invoke doctrine of necessity so that you can tender fresh evidence to buttress what you had already claimed in the body of the petition. But that is to say that the chances of it surviving and the new evidence surviving at the Supreme Court is so low, yeah.
All right, let's quickly take this call. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, beautiful morning to you, Orji. Adeniyi, good morning. Senior Elder Obadiah, beautiful morning to you.
Good morning to you, SND.
SND from Lagos, good morning. Go ahead, we can hear you.
Beautiful morning to you. My ample opportunity. I mean, my sincere regards to the KAFTAN TV for giving us this ample opportunity. I don't want to go into these certificates that they are affecting, honestly speaking. But let me just keep it the way it is, because this issue is already on court. And remember, the law says you are not guilty until the court of law found you guilty. So let us leave that matter, because to me it has become something like a stale news. Let me quickly respond to this Naira on that pressure by the IMF that Nigeria needs dollar. The question I want to ask, what happened with that of $3 billion that NNPC and then signed on the 16th of August 2023? What happened? You see, my question is, does that mean that between now and 4 months we cannot be able to know exactly our right from our left when it comes to economic system? Now let us go back a little bit. When you look at the World Bank Enterprises Survey in Nigeria 2014, you will now realize that we are not productive. And since between now and 2014 we cannot be able to articulate things so that Nigeria can be productive. Now you ask yourself, who is the leader, who is the Messiah that is coming to make these things work for us? Are we still expecting the IMF or the World Bank? The IMF that Nigeria borrowed money somewhere around 1974. That is what Alhaji, the former Minister of Finance, and then at that time is a secretary in the Finance Ministry, he said he signed the agreement to borrow IMF loan in Nigeria. That was what Alhaji said. The interview was held on 22 September 2017. So my worry is, when are we? We are not criticizing the government, but the issue is, are we for it? Are we ready? Are we ready? When we are not productive, we don't have energy, we cannot maintain our resources. When are we ready? When are we going to fix Nigeria? That's the question. Are we expecting the international community to come and rehabilitate Nigeria for us? Why are we still appreciating the Nnamdi Azikiwe, the late Awolowo, the late Madam Aminu Kano, the A.S. Kaka, the Tapapalewa, and so on and so on? While they were still in their great, they remain political icons. Can't you emulate from their good faith? Thank you very much. I'm SND from Lagos, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much, SND from Lagos. Always great to hear from you. Now let's move away as our time is fast spent. We'll take other stories. Blueprint newspaper says Ijaw youth laud Tinubu and NNPC on Tantita pipeline contract renewal. And I saw on social media where you have some of the ex-militant leaders, Asari Dokubo, and some of the persons come together to talk about how they want to go back to pipeline contract renewal. And then I think Francis read in his own part where they said they want to stop the crude oil thief.
Theft.
And then theft, rather, I beg your pardon. Then Francis came out to say, who exactly is even going into this? So I'd like to get your thoughts in that regard, because I'm wondering, in all of these meetings and all of this contract renewal, where do you have the Nigeria security officials, the NSCDC, the Navy, the Nigerian Army? Where do you have them in this round table? That's one on the side. And then secondly, there's a paper I read, I think it's on the Nigerian Tribune, that says you have Ohanes Ndibo. I recall that the president came in sometime late last week, and then they said they want to go and meet the president Tinubu and talk about Nnamdi Kanu's case and renew that case again to see how he can be released. Do you actually see a light at the end of that tunnel? Are they putting their best foot forward?
Yeah, but the first
with regard, that's on the Tantita renewal of contract, pipeline surveillance contract. And then on the other side, the other people say that they want to stop crude oil theft.
You see, when anything that should be properly done is not properly done, you continue to manage the fallout of that impropriety. Crude oil should not be controlled by the federal government. Oil is something that should be controlled by the locals, and then the federal government tax them, maybe heavily. If it is done this way, the owners of that oil become stakeholders in the project.
Okay, let's quickly take this call before we go. All right, go ahead.
Now, when they don't see themselves as stakeholders in the project, they devise ways and means to make themselves stakeholders to extract their own portion of the treasure. And this might include some criminal approach, but never mind, our government too not taking such unscrupulous approach in managing our resources. If resources are controlled by the people will not work against the installations that are theirs. Now the Jaws have the oil that runs under the roof of their ancestral homes, but they never see the money. They never engage the contractors, explorers. Everything is done up there by Abuja, and then they send them down. They devise a means of getting their own, and that is what is happening in oil pipeline contract and all that, stopping the flow of oil, any action that they can use to negotiate. Talking about Ohaneze and Nnamdi Kanu, you see, I have always told people here that the escalating of the Nnamdi Kanu case is because government failed to engage these people as at when due, when they're supposed to need this
in the board. They allowed it for whatever reason.
What was wrong at the initial stage for the presidency to say, come on guys, what is this I am hearing? We are one country. Where did you get the idea of Biafra from? They explained to you.
Which presidency are you talking of?
That was Buhari then.
Okay.
That was Buhari. Now this thing has lingered and it has polarized and become a vermouth that is already eating into Southeast economy and is already destroying Southeasterners. Many people are kidnapped in the guise of IPOB operation, just because, like they say, when you hack the head, the disciples
Scatters.
Now, as they scatter, everyone is propagating a new doctrine. And as this doctrine multiplies, more windows are created for people to come and do their own transaction according to their own designs. This is why release of Nnamdi Kanu is very, 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 very important and very, very, very crucial.
Okay, let me just ask you a very quick question. Just you'd have to respond to it in 30 seconds. Should Nnamdi Kanu be released right now? He's definitely going to be released on certain conditions. Do you see him keeping to his part of the conditions of his release? Bear in mind that at some point during the President Muhammadu Buhari's former President Muhammadu Buhari's administration, he was released on certain conditions which he flouted. He completely flouted. Do you, on this ground, do you think he will keep to the conditions of his release should it happen?
Well, I recognize the fact that when he was taken on bail, he flouted the conditions of his bail. And I also know back then in 2017 or thereabout, some well-meaning Nigerians of Igbo extraction were trying to reach him and say, please, you are doing this against the condition of your release. The question is that he knew he was flouting the condition of the court.
So you think the same thing will happen again?
And probably was ready to face the consequences. He thought that at worst, if he goes to court, they will revoke his bail, then he will return to the prison.
So do you see this happening again?
Now, my fear now is that his release should work so much to douse the multiplicity of IPOBs that they are creating in the Southeast now. He will tell us the one that are his group.
Okay.
I should think that the condition in his release now should include, among others, a custody that would be managed by certain influential Igbo men, including the leadership. Let the condition be in such a way that the Ohanese leadership should be involved in his activities. Certainly, the activities of Nnamdi Kanu has eroded the mind of young Igbo youths of, say, 40 down, 40 years down. So how are we going to start a new orientation to bring about a new understanding, a new approach in prosecuting our national interest? So these are the challenges before the Ohanese and the other Igbo leadership platforms.
Okay.
Obadiah and Mbila, thank you so much for your time with us. It's always a pleasure having this discussion with you every morning, Monday morning.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you once again.
By the way, I was born on Monday, so I'm always bright.
That's beautiful.
All right, viewers, that's where we end this conversation. Thank you so much. We have been chatting with Obadiah Mbila, who is CEO of Lovewalk Media, and it's been a wonderful time here on The Press. We'll definitely see you again tomorrow. Remember, whatever you do, drink water, mind your own business, and stay safe. I am Annabel Orji. Good morning.
And I am Francis Adeniyi. Good morning.